Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Get Cultured podcast. If it is your first time joining us, then thank you so much for tuning in. I'm very happy to have you here and I hope you enjoy the content. And of course, welcome to the Get Cultured family. So this week I had the pleasure of sitting down and chatting with Davianne Tucker. And for those of you who know her or know of her story, then you'll know that Davian is a very powerful soul. And even though I know that her experiences or her illnesses that she fights on a day-to-day basis may not define who she is, because she's much more than that. Hashtag made for more. I still believe that for those of you who may not be familiar with her story, it's important that you get a bit of background on where Davian is evolving from so that you can fully immerse yourself into this week's episode. So Davian is a warrior. That's the best word I can use to describe her. She is a survivor of sexual abuse that plagued her childhood years. She's a survivor of bullying. She is a survivor of endometriosis, and she's also had very candid discussions on her Instagram about her day-to-day battle with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. So Davian is really finding strength and power in being vulnerable, and she's using her platform to share her story with other persons in the hopes that they too will embrace their own stories and be inspired to share their stories with the world as well, because Davian believes that we weren't just put on this earth to struggle or get by, but in being your authentic self, embracing your story, sharing yourself with the world, you'll realize that you're actually very special and you're made for more and you're here to thrive. So that's really what Davian is all about. I love it. I love her story. I love her. So I just really wanted to have her on the podcast so that she could share a bit more of her story with you guys. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching the episode. And before we jump into it, please take the time now to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you love the content, and share it with your friends. Tweet it out, put it in your WhatsApp groups, take a snap on IG stories and tag us at GetCulturedJA so that we can know that you're listening and watching and that you love the content. So we're trying to get the word out there. So thank you so much for watching and listening, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for joining me again, Davian.
For sure.
Okay, so fun fact, guys, I actually started this podcast like a year ago, was it?
Or maybe a little more. Yeah, probably.
It was audio only. We did it in this room. Davian was my first guest because I was at the time and still am moved by her Made for More movement and just her story. And the technology failed me and I lost the audio. So now this is take 2.
Hey.
And I get to do it bigger and better. You get to see Davian live and in action. So yeah, let's get into it then.
Yeah.
All right. So you have a really inspiring story. I was telling you earlier that while my friend was doing my makeup, I was rereading one of your articles that you did with the Observer for All Women.
Yeah.
And just going through your entire story, I just kept saying, wow, like, oh my gosh, like you're a strong person. And she was like, what are you reading? And then I was like, Davian's story. So where did you find that strength?
I believe we're all, not to sound like all technical and philosophical, but I honestly believe that we're all made that way, with that sort of inner power. It's given to us at birth. And I read recently that it's very critical to our survival, just like breathing, being able to, access that inner power, not to search for it because it's already there, but to access it. Because for me, it was always literally pushing past each struggle. And sometimes I didn't think about it like that, especially at 6, 7, 8 years old. It was just understanding as a human being with a brain that functions in terms of you can't be too anxious for long. You just can't survive like that. And so you have to find a way to feel better, to be better. And so that's why I said inner power, because I just kept going because I had to. I'm not going to leave this earth anytime soon. I hope not. And the once I'm here, I have to try. And with each thing, it gets, I don't know if it gets easier, but once you learn one lesson, it's right onto another. And you're learning lessons until you go. I don't think we'll ever fulfill all our lessons.
Right.
But all those things that you would say, you're strong for, there are lessons. Even the most the harshest of all of them. You know, they're all lessons. So
Okay, so you could have kept this to yourself, right? You could have been a strong person. You could have gone throughout your life. Nobody had to know about you or what you were going through outside of, your personal circle.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to take this to social media, to build a platform?
I don't know if I actually thought about it in terms of, not thought about it, but said to myself, okay, I'm going to build a platform. What I recognized is that when I started on social media, I remember having like 9 posts and 45 followers. And then I don't know, just being engaged in different things brought it to a certain point. And then I looked at it and I realized when I got to 10,000 people, I was like, how did this happen? I feel like my page run well leaving me because I did not intend for this to happen. I was just posting, doing things here and there and not realizing that it was actually making an impact. So I said, well, clearly the universe is telling me something.
I mean, you're authentic, so it shows that people are drawn to authenticity.
That, which I really appreciate, and that's very, very good, especially in our very fast moving, very based on image type of society. To honor somebody who tries to be themselves as best as possible is amazing. But when I got to 10,000 now, I thought, well, okay, there must be a reason that all these people, because that's 10,000 human beings choosing to follow me, to listen to what I'm saying and look at my pictures. There must be a reason they're all here. So I should make use of it.
Yeah.
And then I realized, okay, that's when I realized, okay, I have a platform, I decided to speak about it, or the different things that I've endured, because I've never believed that I was here for myself. Ever since I've known myself, I've always been the type of person to say, hey, are you okay? Like checking on people, try to provide some kind of encouragement. My daddy will tell you the first time he bought a car was when I challenged him to buy one, and I was probably 7. And he said he felt so bad when because I critically asked him, why are we walking every day to the market and wherever? Why are we walking? Is it possible? And it wasn't out of judgment. It was simply out of a challenge. And I, other parents would ask me to speak with their kids type of thing. So I was always naturally inclined to sharing with people or asking questions that would be challenging. And so that just, I think, transcended into sharing my story in that way. And I grew up taking a lot of pictures. My dad and we did a lot of photography. And so pictures were always my way of documenting things. And so I just thought, all right, well, let me try this, see how it goes. But what really sparked it was that people, while I was at UE and in various leadership positions and in certain spaces, I started to realize how important it was to share your story and the power in that, because you never know who you just unconsciously give permission to heal or to share themselves as well. And I mean, literally all of us on the planet, we're a unit, we're a collective, and it's important that we share with each other, because many people end up thinking they're going through things alone and don't end up surviving it.
Yeah.
And maybe if I just say something about my story, somebody sees me and thinks, oh, she had it easier, and I can show them otherwise that, but it's going to be okay. Then I think that's great energy to share, and healing is necessary. So I just said, okay, let me jump into it, see how people respond. And man, the outside of the talks that I did, the first time I actually spoke about something that was really, really deep to me was at New Wave. Big up New Wave, Lindsay and the team had invited me to speak. It was concerning feminine energy, and I believe process. Can't remember the exact topic, and I don't know. Something just said share that part of your story, and that's when somebody, a friend of mine, Kimberly, came. She had come to support me, and she heard the story. She didn't know that certain things had happened to me, And she said, no man. She wrote for the Gleaner at the time. And that's where the story actually fully came out, like countrywide. And then,
This was about your abuse?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Dick Rubin and I did that visual project. It was like really my first visual project where I really went into detail about just different things in my life. And so many responses.
I remember that.
I've actually saved every message I've gotten. It's in my Google Drive just because of how important it was, that moment, and the things that were shared and how people responded to it consistently. Yeah.
So let's go back to your upbringing for a bit. You said you're from Brownstown. My mom's side of the family is actually from there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you were saying that you said something that I related to in the article, where you're always very outspoken as a child. And then, you had the natural Jamaican response of, oh,
Yeah.
or you're too, like, you just extra always want to be in everything. And then throughout high school, as you grew up, you kind of went into a shell. And that I went through something similar. Only thing, it was like more from my family. I had a really strong personality growing up, but then my family or my parents would always be like, "Lord, so I ask so much questions, or you're so annoying, or unfathomable." So I took it, obviously, like a lot of children get that response from like stressed out parents sometimes, but I think I took it a little more. I was a little more sensitive, so I took it as like, whoa, okay. My family doesn't accept me, that means the world won't accept me. So I grew up like incredibly shy.
Yeah.
Like I had serious social anxiety for like no reason. So I'm still like getting out of it. So I could relate to that. So how did you, in high school, I think you said you started to turn around in university. How did you take the steps to start to find yourself again and care less about what people think about you?
I recognized, leaving the space after 18 years, leaving Brownstone, not seeing the same people over and over again, that was liberating in and of itself. I wanted to leave, not my family, but just that area, because everybody is just gossip and not a lot of people were encouraging type of thing. So leaving Brownstone was a big step. That in and of itself was a step towards difference and just being different, because I wanted to return to my natural state of being. Like, you cannot hide from it.
Yeah.
And if you ever think that you can, curl up into a ball and hide from who you are, it always finds you. That's who you are. So if you love to chat, and if you love to sing, and you love to dance, or you like to paint, or whatever it is, and you feel like, oh, I'm not good enough for this, so I'm just not gonna do it, it's gonna be in your mind over and over like a worm, or you're just gonna be surrounded by it, because it is what you are called to do. And so for me, just leaving was a big step. But also I wanted to just feel whole. Like I wanted to feel again. I wasn't feeling anything. And it was just a very kind of morbid, basic place to be. And I'm not a basic person. So the steps I took while at university, my first year of university was really horrible. I started in the sciences. And man, if anybody knows anything about what they call it now, science and technology, whatever, that faculty, it was pure and applied sciences at the time. Man, you have to apply yourself to any faculty. But when you go to pure and applied sciences, especially when you're not sure what you're doing, you're just doing it because it seems like, coming from country, the sciences make you smart. This is where the money is, that type of thing, so to speak, that kind of opinion. So you follow popular opinion. Well, if you were like me, where I considered everybody's opinion. But then after that year, I went through so much anxiety to the point where, like, I was sick literally every month. And this is not something I've actually said like publicly, but every month every month for my first semester of pure and applied sciences, I had a reoccurring awful yeast infection because my immune system was just deteriorating because I wasn't eating. I'm stressing all the time. This is the first time I'm away from home, juggling the different responsibilities responsibilities on top of the fact that I just didn't want to be doing the same thing that I was doing every day because I wasn't interested in it. I had no interest. And I was just sick every month. It was so awful. And that had just started with medication. The sickness started in my throat. So I had some kind of inflammation. And the doctor prescribed something that he didn't tell me was going to cause that as a side effect. The yeast infection. Augmentin does that, by the way. Some people get it, just in case you ever have to take Augmentin. And so whatever reason I had to take that for, bam, take it. And it just wouldn't stop. And I remember I had to go back to the doctor one last night because I could barely walk. And they had granted me leave from exams. But US policy with exams, there is a certain amount of time that you have to turn in the letter by, and mine was the day before, and it was just chaotic. And man, the anxiety that night. I think a friend had asked me, so you going to study or what? And I don't know, like, it was the first time I'd experienced something like that. Like, my eyes, I think, was it in that order? I believe it was in that order. I think, I took something. So I got the leave, but I don't think they actually granted it. And I had gotten prescription drugs. I took them. These are medications I've taken before, I remember, in my history. And I started having this awful allergic reaction and then I couldn't breathe. And I was like, what's going on? So I went to the hospital initially because when I get bad allergies, I have to go in. And they nebulized me and some other stuff. I'm trying to make sure my memory is serving me correctly. But I remember going to the hospital and then I came out, got home, right? And then my friend asked me, so are you going to study or are you doing the exam? And that moment is like, literally felt like the heaviest block dropped on my chest. I could not breathe. My eyes started to feel like they were rolling into the back of my head. They were asking me my name. I couldn't. Like my arms and my legs started to bend and contort, literally like I was seizing. They thought I was having a seizure. And they brought me in, and when they took stock of it in the A&E at UA, it wasn't no seizing. I didn't know at the time what it was. I just knew I got a shot, and the shot made me very relaxed. I was like, okay. Essentially, what they had done was tranquilize me with the Valium. And the next morning I woke up, it started to happen again where I wouldn't be able to breathe and I wasn't talking and my body's stiffening. And my mom, who's a nurse, she does live here, I called her and she's like, man, I think you're allergic to UA. I don't know what's going on. Something is wrong, and it went at the manifestation of what was happening in my mind with my body was so bad that I had to go home and didn't do any exams. I went and did a CT scan because they weren't sure if something was physiologically wrong with my brain as to why my body was reacting that way. And when I went back to the doctor with the results, she said, hey, there's nothing wrong with your body. So
it was all mental.
She didn't say, I don't even remember her saying mental. I remember her prescribing drugs. And when did I Google them? I don't know. But I recognized after, like, literally probably a few weeks ago by watching a show, I realized that what she had given me were like antidepressants or antipsychotics, one of the antis that makes you really lethargic and slow, because that's how I felt. But I was relaxed because I remember one morning they brought me breakfast and like I started to feel it again and my arms literally knocked over everything. And they had to take it from me and like rest me down and type of thing. So just after going through that repeatedly, I remember having to be taken out of a lab because it happened in a lab. One of my instructors took me to the hospital and I did blood tests and all of that. And that's when they sent me to a psychiatrist. And she told me I was having what is known as a conversion disorder, where what's happening in my mind, in my psychological, is affecting my physiological. So that is a real thing where if you are mentally stressed out and in a place where you don't feel like you're in control, where you cannot access your inner power, like you're having a leak or something, and you just don't remember what's going on. You don't know what's happening to you. You have no tenacity, no zeal, no nothing. It can play out physically and make you very, very sick when you're not really actually sick. But if you can work on what's here, then it gets better. But mental is it's equally as important as physical, just to say. So after going through all those things for that entire year, I remember just when I went home and I was on the medications and all of that, I said, all right, cool, I'm going to go back, try second semester. Never works out again. During that time, I had started psychology. And I think that was important because then I could understand what was happening to me in a deeper sense without having to pay for therapy in that moment, because it can be, So that helped. So taking that step to sign up for a psych course that differentiated from the sciences I was doing at the time, that was a little of me taking back control. So for me, that was step one. Being able to recognize that I have control and that my opinions of myself are most important and what I believe I'm capable of is most important. And then I took it a step further. When I got back home after that year, I told my parents, I don't think this makes sense. This is just making me sick. I'm going to switch faculties. I don't think I'm, for the sciences. And I remember asking my dad, I was like, Daddy, like when I was little, did you ever see me like a lab coat, or did you see me like talking and engaging with people? And his answer just clarified it. He's like, no. It's like, yeah, man, like I've always been that person, talkative, engaging with people in social spaces. That was always me. Leadership, development, people, that was always my thing. And for me, that wasn't coming from the sciences. That was coming from somewhere else. I never really did any of the social sciences. Biochemistry type of thing was, what I had studied, but I took the chance. So the thing is, what we tend to do is we like to talk and, like share your wisdom with me or share this with me. How did you do this? But then the fact is the doing part, that's the critical thing, that verb there, to do, the doing is most important. So for me, like getting up and taking the courage and the control back to say to my parents, hey, I'm not doing this. That was important. You have to do it. And most times when you're so stressed out, you're not in tune with your essence. Like it's hard to be like, what am I doing? Like, and then it's easy to stay in that limbo, not the unknown, because it's safe, because you can hide behind it. Yeah. But after a while, there comes a point, especially in adulthood, where you have to recognize that you can't stay there anymore. You have to know at some point. You have to be able to make the decision to do. And so the doing was important. And then the more I did things that allowed me to regain control was the more I did things I wanted to do. So it's like one small victory leads you to another, right? And so I started social sciences. Now I said, all right, bam. I know it's going to be rough to like go into exams because coming with the anxiety and all of that and failure from the whole first year. I got like all F's the first year. I had to really resurrect myself. My GPA was 0.4. It was nothing after my first year. I'm sorry, I have to try this. And I prayed a lot. I remember that. And I set boundaries. I told people, listen, don't ask me about exams. Don't ask me, don't wish me good luck. Don't ask me about it after the exam. Whenever I exit the exam room, I'm not stopping to talk to any groups of people because I know my boundaries. I know that I'm going to get anxious. I'm not past the point yet where I can fully cope with it. Yeah. So I set it and I say, yo, nobody don't link me. Just give for the 2-3 weeks of exams, just breeze me. And it's no disrespect. If you want to check on me like for food, sure, because sustenance. But don't ask me about those the exam related things, the personal things about studying, and I just went with that, which was also important in having control of my space and my situation. After the first semester, my GPA was 4.0. Nice. It literally flipped. And after my first year in SOSI, I made the Faculty of Social Sciences Honor Society, which is the group of top 50 students in social sciences. And I was like, wow.
I like that. Because once you kind of take that first step to start doing things, what you know you should be doing for yourself, it's kind of like you get answers from the universe. Like, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
And that's the only way you're going to get them. If you actually make an attempt. The universe can only give us so much and no more. Like, I'm now at a place where I realize, all right, the universe has really given me a good bit of people, a lot of people that, you know, support me in terms of my following, that are interested. So what am I going to do with it further? You know, what more is going to come? Because I feel like that foundation has been set. And so sometimes you have to do what you have to do to show the universe you're ready for more and to level up and whatever, you know.
All right. So I'm going to actually use this to segue to one of our questions from the audience, because after UE, you went on to work with Sagicor, right?
Yeah.
So one of the questions is actually, why did you leave Sagicor, and what do you actually do as a career now?
Okay. I left Sagicor for a few reasons. It was a great experience in terms of building a foundation of knowledge. To be honest, sometimes knowing what I know now, I wish I'd stayed longer just to accumulate more knowledge within that space. So at Sagicor, I was in group marketing. I managed the front end of the website. I was their website administrator. And then I was placed in PR, public relations. I was also on the events team. And Sagicor has many events. And I produced videos and digital for them for events.
Okay, nice.
So that was awesome. But there came a point when it felt like it was becoming really monotonous, very routine, where every day I was kind of doing the same thing. And there were also challenges that I didn't understand how to interpret. So people would say to me, you know, you have to play the game. It's just a game. Like, you know, we come here, we do what we have to do, and we leave.
Climb the ladder.
Type of thing. And I just didn't understand the concept of playing the game. Why am I playing a game? Like, I already, you know, I put in work to get here. I know I want to put in more work to learn, to, you know, to make my way here. I don't feel like I need to be, you know, two-stepping around all sorts of stuff. But the truth is, that's necessary in any workspace. And I've learned that now. Some spaces are freer than others, are more flexible. But I left because it was getting really heavy for me. It didn't feel purpose driven anymore. And that's what I'm driven by. Not money, but rather how I feel doing what I'm doing. And I wasn't feeling good anymore. I love my VP to death. She's an awesome, awesome woman. I learned a lot from her. But at the same time, I couldn't learn as much because of the approach that was being taken. And that is something, as a lesson, I've had to learn because, how would I put it? If you grew up being bullied, for example, and you have that anger or hurt towards that sort of thing, the universe, interestingly, is going to give you more opportunities with bullies to overcome that. Yeah? And even though we might not want to learn in those situations, those are the situations that will get us past that hurt, because that's where it came from, or it's familiar. And for you to move past that, you're going to keep encountering those type of people until you learn the lesson. So I could have stayed longer to learn more, but I wanted a different approach. I wanted also more flexibility to do public speaking, and to engage with people. And so that's really why I left. I went through a really tough ordeal within that time. So before, I was thinking about it, and then I went through a really difficult situation that I had to make certain decisions in. And I recognized from making those decisions that if I can do that, then I can leave Sagicor. I don't need to stay in limbo anymore. And I had one of my bosses, Alicia White, had said to me, you know, my dad told me once that any decision you make in limbo is a good decision, because at least you've made the decision.
Yeah.
So just with that sort of encouragement and looking ahead, I was like, all right, then I'm going to go. So I left. What do I do as a career now?
Yes.
Still finding my way, guys. But I've narrowed it. So people tend to think that when you're good at multiple things, that's cool, that's wow. It's actually really difficult because it's hard to choose where to go. And you will focus on this now, bam, then you move into this. Focus is divine power. And you can't, it's jack of all trades, master of none. Like, we can't just say jack of all trades because that doesn't end the statement. It doesn't complete the dynamic.
Yeah.
And so I've selected my path, which what I discovered is that my life path is of a humanitarian purpose.
Okay.
I'm all about serving people. And so, I mean, well, at the same time, I still have to make some money. So I do digital marketing. I have one actual client and one I'm working on now. And I do it for myself because also I make my way through my page as well.
Right.
So digital marketing, public speaking, and education. And what I mean by education is in the realm of mentorship, and something else I don't really want to talk about. But yes, so digital marketing, public speaking, education. I actually want to go back to school to study psychology. Okay. If you ask me, barring everything else, all resources, whatever it is, what would I do? I would study clinical psychology and take it to the PhD level. That's what I wanted to do. My parents, even though that switch was made, they were like, no, don't do psychology, do marketing. And so now I'm going to pursue psychology. And that's where I want to jump into with education. I want to lecture. I want to, be with groups of young people. But I also believe that education mostly happens outside of the classroom, which is where mentorship comes in. Right. So I'm working on some stuff. But yeah, digital marketing, public speaking, education, and events. I love events. That's something I'm really passionate about. I love seeing the structures go up. I love seeing the lights. I love the sound. I love the beating of the speakers, like people enjoying themselves. So that's also something that I do. Wouldn't say career-wise, but it's something I love to do.
Nice. Okay. Another question that we got from the audience was... keep it quick. Okay, so the first one I'll ask is they wanted to know what choosing happiness looks like for you, like in your day-to-day life, because of what you've been through. So this person was asking, in terms of, people always say, happiness is a choice, but how do you actually
that person is, well, good question. And happiness is definitely a choice, because I mean, when you're little, bubbles make you excited. Butterflies make every little thing, because we're so curious, and at that stage we are unscathed is the word, I think. We are unaffected by anything happening around us. We don't care about anybody's opinions. We just do what we're doing. And that is the freest state that we'll ever really be in, at that little stage. As a child, yeah. But then as we go through society and all its implications and ways of doing things and going about things affects all of us. And so when we get to adulthood now, or whatever stage, we just reckon that, hey, no, I'm in charge here. Happiness becomes very deliberate, especially in adulthood, where every day we're making decisions, whether it's relationships or work or for ourselves, everything. So for me, deliberate looks like it's reading. Reading keeps me really centered. I try to talk with myself a lot. Prayer and like meditation, but that's like within me. So meditation, I read a lot. I just finished a book yesterday. I have a partner who is really instrumental and really important to me. So keep like choosing that person. When going through sickness and stuff really took a toll on me, and I couldn't choose happiness at that point. Honestly, it felt so difficult, and I left myself in a very victimized role, which I had worked my way out of. But like I said, the lessons keep coming, and sometimes it thrusts you right back. And so, I wasn't the best person. But my partner kept choosing me. And so that is solace.
That's dope.
It's shit. Yeah, really dope. But so just being deliberate with what I know centers me, and just trying to do it. Just trying to do it. I mean, even though like you asked me that question, and I feel a little anxiety because I know right now is an anxious kind of period for me. It's like a little anxious phase. But yeah, reading really helps. Meditating. I try to eat food that I actually like. It's really hard, but and laughing and just doing things that just make me feel like I'm worthy, like I have a purpose here. It's just the doing. I just do my best to choose the things that are good.
I like that. And I like what you said about not being able to choose happiness at some points. Because I also think it's important to note, guys, that your growth won't always be linear. You're going through something, you're healing from something, you're trying to better yourself. So there are going to be days where you just don't want to be here, you don't want to face it.
Exactly.
Which is why having a good support system for you, for example, is
support
important.
system is really critical. They said the same book I just finished yesterday. They said that I was gonna bring it. So like when you're having power leaks, it's important to have that. They gave the support system a kind of name. I can't remember, but it helps you with your own powerful evolution in your mind, your spirit, your body, everything. Like those people who know your truth, who know who you are, who believe in you. You need people like that around you who can talk you through it when you don't know. Because sometimes you won't know, depending on what your circumstances
or you'll know,
are.
But sometimes you'll forget your truth.
Right, that's what I mean. You will forget based on, and it's a dance, consciousness versus forgetfulness. It all is like a dance, and sometimes the forgetfulness is necessary for you to like regain more strength.
Right.
But I really hope that all you listening have like a really solid support system, because it's critical, and for people to understand who you are versus who you can be when things go wrong. And we have to be open to other people too, because we're capable of doing anything. So everybody is, so no judgment. All
right. I just want to say really quickly, there are a couple other questions, but Davian has to leave soon, and I just want to quickly wrap up with her. So guys, if you have any more questions, you can feel free to comment them. I will shoot them at Davian, so maybe she can answer them at a later date.
I mean, I can take 2 more if you want.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask 2 more questions too, for like the shoe. Okay. So one that we got was, what was it like to put your story out there? And raise money publicly for your surgery?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I'm a chatterbox. I don't mind sharing parts of my life, my personal stuff, but that one was hard because the thing is, when you're sick, it puts you many times in a place of you lack control. You feel like you're losing control because your body is literally losing its own control. Things inside you are changing. You feel weak. It takes a shot at your self-esteem because this is not who you expected to be or who you are. So just like literally, it physically diminishes you. It also psychologically does the same. So already feeling that way and then putting it out there to know, get the money,
right?
AKA beg the money, it's like, oh wow, hell. Like I'm really in a state where I don't have control. But that's one perspective. The other perspective is that we're all here to help each other, and when you are in need, you have to ask, which is something I was not normally good at. I normally internalize and handle it myself, and when I'm ready to talk about it, I talk about it. And many times I'd push people away because of that, because I deal with it myself. I deal with things myself, and they wouldn't know what's going on with me, and it's just this push-pull.
So it's okay to be vulnerable.
So it's okay to be vulnerable, and I recognize that. I mean, I can't say that I was the smoothest fighter. I definitely was not. I wasn't the most valiant all the time.
Well, you can tell that you inspired a lot of people.
But I did, and that's the thing. Hell, like you take the chance and you put yourself out there, and you just don't know who you're going to liberate or who you're going to help, which is how we even started this conversation. So at first it was a little weird, and I was like, whoa, is anybody even gonna help? Like, I mean, I know people are good, there are good people out there, but I didn't expect the support that I got. It was amazing to me that I got that type of monetary support and emotional support from people who didn't even know me. Many of them weren't even from Jamaica. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So I had to align myself with a better perspective in order to get through it. The real perspective, not the one that the little voice in my head was just spewing, but the reality. And that's also important, guys, to stay present. It's a really difficult thing with the human condition, because we're based many times, we base our experiences now, our current state. Let's take that again. Our current state many times is based on our previous experiences, and then those past experiences also kind of buffer how we think about the future. That's how memories work. But at the same time, we have to try to stay within the moment. And I lost many moments while I was sick because I couldn't be present, admittedly. But I had to try, and it was really encouraging, the support. So yeah, I just tried to stay present with it, try to just acknowledge that, man, people are just supporting. And then the thing is, like I said, I don't normally have an issue putting things out there. It's just that when you're in a certain space, it's kind of hard because people also expect you to still be strong, and sometimes you can't. But it was good ultimately. And I got the surgery done, and thanks, Dr. Halsall.
That's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just close out then. All right, so the final question is, I want to know what the impact is that you want to have on Jamaica.
Man.
And then you can leave us with your final thought, like one piece of advice that you want to share with our audience.
Sweet. All right. I mean, nationally, I want to impact so many people. Like, when I think about it, it makes me really emotional, because I don't like what's happening with the human nature of the country. The condition is really bad. Everybody just a push past everybody. Nobody care. Not nobody, but many people just don't even have time to care. Like, we're struggling so much. It's like we just have to care about me and my own, and that's it. And you have to protect your own, your protege. But at the same time, we have to look out for everybody else, which is also a part of his message, We have to look out for each other, and I don't really see that. And I also worry about our teenagers, that generation, and how so bombarded they are with everything that is social, Twitter, Instagram, everything. Everybody's telling them who they need to be and what they need to be doing and what they need to wear. And, I mean, we came up as the age was unfolding, but now it's fully unfolded.
Yeah.
And it's just like, whoa, where will their own individual thoughts come from? And so I know nationally, I definitely want to impact our young people, especially the teenagers, especially those transitioning to university, because I know what that time period can be like. The pressure can be like, the pressure to deliver for yourself, the expectations of others, navigating all of that on top of all the social forces at work. So for me, nationally, I want to make an impact in every parish with every young person that is possible to reach. I want people to know that regardless of their circumstances, regardless of where they're born or who they are, or, their parents, their history, whatever struggles they've met upon, all of those things were dynamically placed into their lives because those are their lessons. You have people, I read a story recently about a woman who had moved to the United States, and she grew up in like horrible poverty, but she was hell-bent on getting an education. And even if she had to walk over the drunk people on the floor, the high people on the floor, she was going to school, and she did, and she kept going, and now she runs a really lucrative business, I believe, there. But just her drive to keep going. Like, I want people to understand. That's why I say made for more, because to be able to manifest the more, we have to go through some of those things. I mean, many times we like to focus on struggle, but the truth is the struggle is where the growth happens. And so I just want young people to understand that and not feel completely deterred by it. You know, there's so many young people taking their own lives, getting to that point where they feel like it just does not make sense. And that's not the case. Maya Angelou would say, who are you? Who are you to decide that your life is not of worth? Like, I think at that time she was probably 90 or 80 something. And she was like, I'm going to leave this world long before you under normal circumstances. So who are you to say that you can't take on the battle? You know, that's what we're here for, to leave this earth better than we came to it. Yeah. You know, so that funny, that makes me emotional. But I want to have an international impact. Whenever I dream, that's what I dream about. Like being on a stage with a lot of people, just engaging with them, just interacting, just sharing that kind of energy, like kind of like Yara Shahidi. Like she's a big inspiration for me. You should say that's why we do this work. You know, we have to do it. It's important to make these changes. That's who, you know, that's what it's about. And so the final word, just going right into that. You are fabulously made for more. You are authentically made for more. And that just means that how you look, how you feel, how you speak, outspoken, enough, extra, introverted, extroverted, whatever it is, you were meant and made that way because first of all, you are the only one of your kind. You must know that. And so you were made within the fabric of this universe at a specific time, on a specific day, right? To manifest a certain purpose. And so no matter what you go through, that's your journey. No matter what nobody else. Put on your blinkers. It's about you and how you take your lessons and turn those into being more than you even thought you could ever be. And the inner power that we talk about is not something that you need to find. It is in you already. You were given it at birth. All you need to do is make sure you keep accessing it, right? No matter what them tell you, no matter what you even tell yourself on the worst of days. Surround yourself with people who genuinely love you, who you can be your authentic, honest self with, who can remind you that there's more to be done. You are not the base of these circumstances. You're far more than that because you're going to learn from it. And you're going to survive and you're going to thrive because we're not just here to survive. You understand? So, guys, just do your best every day to access your power, to accept yourself for who you are, to take responsibility. Because what you do with your life, what you make of it, is on you and we can't hide from it. Even if we say we don't know what we are doing them thing there. Yeah, man, that there's a time for that. But there's a time to take responsibility and own that power. Find the inspiration that we need to just press, you know. And I just want to say also that while I was sick, to anybody that I have made uncomfortable or that I, you know, caused pain, or discomfort, I just want to say that I'm really sorry, because it's something I also have to take responsibility for. And there will be days when you will hurt people and people will hurt you because of circumstances, but we have to take responsibility and we have to learn from them. Yeah, you're made for more.
Okay. And with that, I don't have to say anything else. She just left us with a word. So please listen to what she just said. And thank you guys for joining. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye. Get cultured.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching that episode. If you loved it, please hit the like button so that YouTube will know that you like our content and will show you more of it. Also, subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can get updates when we do upload new content. And finally, leave some love in the comments. Let me know where you're from, what your takeaways were from the episode, what you'd like to hear more of, who you'd like to see me interview. I'm here for you. So let me know, give me feedback. I'm open to it. Thank you for watching. Love you guys. See you next episode.